Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful and warm, sunny weekend. I'll get started here. Last week's 5-2 tape breakdown was talking about home insurance in the 21, and if you can, we talk about things that you can either throw away like, oh, they're not really that important, or you can leverage them as a extremely important thing. So when I do 21-point checklists, how do I treat these throwaways like home insurance or medical power of attorney or advanced directive? How do I treat those? How do I treat the survivor's guide? Like it's a throwaway, or like that's right. I treat it as if it's the only thing. I treat it like I only have this one thing to get them to move their accounts. I only have this one thing to get them to understand their advisor does not care about them. That's how I treat it. So I treat every single thing as important as that, which gets them to, by the time we get to the real stuff, then the meeting's already done. They're already ready to leave the guy. So make sure you're paying attention to those small things. Just quickly here, the Fed has lost control, and the historic spike in bond yields points to a looming stock market crash, Bank of America says. So again, am I always pointing out that we're in this room with a bunch of 20-year-old newspapers, gas can, and we don't know what's going to fire that next correction. But do I show you the same on the dashboard of what's making the market volatile or extremely risky right now? Am I showing you the same thing, or am I showing you something different all the time? A different indicator. Yeah, here's yet another different indicator, bond yield spiking. Well, before I get to that, I just heard on the news, and so there's no slide here. Guess where millennials, everybody up to about age 40, guess where they want to put half of their what do you call it? What's the money they're getting?
Stimulus.
Nick's got it. Stimulus checks. Hey, thank you, Missy. Guess where they want to put half? When they pull them, they want to put half of their stimulus checks. Stock market. Yep, stock market. So what's the old adage about when the stock market is risky? What's the old adage? And Jeff talked about his a barber or a cab driver or your Lyft driver, when they start telling you where they want to put that, that they're putting money in the stock market. That's right, Kevin. When they start telling you that, guess what? It's scary, and that's where we're at right now. But Bank of America is talking about a different thing, which is the spike in interest rates. The recent spike in interest rates at Bank of America is a warning of potential stock market crash, according to Friday's note. The bank sees 1987 as a potential roadmap for 2021, in which its continued spike in yields helps spark weakness in the market. Unless the Fed fights back very soon with more Treasury and MBS purchases, a similar fate is likely. But guys, how much has the Fed been fighting back for the last decade? Buying. Can it do that forever? And especially with this stimulus bill, can the Treasury afford to continue to do this when we've already going to add another $2 trillion onto our debt? Can the Treasury afford to do that? So this party is still going, isn't it? The party's still here. But do you want to be the first one out the door or the last one out of the door of the party? Because when the party ends and everybody's going for the door at the same time, guess what happens? I had my neighbor here. I'll give you an example. My neighbor always wants to talk to me about the stock market, but I have a 3% trail stop on my accounts. Is that going to help them, guys? Does a 3% trail stop help you? We got some no's. Why doesn't a 3% stop help you? Because when the market crashes, does it stop at the 3% stop? Yeah, it blasts right through, so you could end up locking in a 30% rate of downturn, right? Now, he's also the same guy who's a stock market expert, and guess what he told me the PE is of the market right now? There's never been a better time to buy in the market right now. Never been a better time because the PE's only 27. Guys, is the PE 27 on the S&P 500 right now? I didn't want to correct him. I didn't want to get into an argue with him. Is the PE 27 on the stock market right now? What is the PE on the S&P 500 right now? Nope, higher. They all said 35, higher than that. What is the PE on the S&P 500 right now? Everybody's Googling it. Yeah, depending on it's 37 to 39, but he's convinced that now is the best time to be in the market. So and I keep saying this: get out before, not after. You cannot get. Is it possible to get out too early, guys? If you talk to wealthy people, is it possible to get out of the market too early? See how many? Okay, everybody's saying no. It's not possible to get out of the market too early. It is possible to get out late, but it's never possible to get out too early. Yeah, Harvard psychologist. So today we're going to talk about, give you a couple of skills, which is how to be more trustworthy and why that's important, and then also characteristics that make millionaires. So it's kind of a couple of interesting things that we can incorporate. Some of these things in our life is going to make us more successful and better people. A Harvard psychologist said people judge you based on two criteria when they first meet you. To judge another human being is simply our nature. We all judge when we meet someone for the first time. Therefore, first impressions are important. Guys, how important is this to us in our job? Having people trust us from their first impression. Important or not important? Yeah, critical. So Amy Cuddy, Harvard Business School professor, and her two colleagues, psychologists Susan Fisk and Peter Glick, have been studying first impressions for 15 years and came to the conclusion that there's a pattern in these interactions. In her new book, Presence, Cuddy explains that someone meets you for the first time, they instantly think of two questions. Can I trust this person? Can I respect this person? Guys, and remember, I've talked about this before. When I need my car repaired, and there's a car repair service on the left-hand side of the road and the right-hand side of the road, two mechanics, left-hand side, right-hand side, am I worried about which one is the better mechanic? Am I worried about which one's the better mechanic? If they're a mechanic and they're in business, what can they do? If they're a mechanic and they're in business, what do I know they can do? They both can fix my car. So what am I worried about then when it comes to those two mechanics? Not worried about their competence. I know they wouldn't be a mechanic or have a garage if they couldn't fix my car. What am I worried about? Yeah, whether I can trust them. Are they going to charge me for a new part when they put in a used part? Are they going to fix things that don't need to be fixed and charge me for it? Can I trust that person? That's what I'm worried about, not competence. When it comes to people choosing an advisor, do they really think one advisor is smarter than another advisor? Everybody answers. So when everybody say yes or no to this, are they really worried about whether one advisor is smarter than the other advisor? I only got three. Yeah, no, they don't. Not at all. What are they worried about? They're worried about, will this advisor put my interests above their own? That's what they're worried about. See, they're not worried about competence. They're worrying about trust. How do you build trust and respect? 10 ways to build trust in a relationship. First, be that person who keeps their word, who honors their commitments, even when it isn't convenient. So guys, when you make a promise, what do you need to do? When you make a promise to somebody that you're going to communicate with them, you better darn well what? Communicate with them. If you tell them that you're going to call them once a week while the money is being moved, or once a day when the money is being moved, you better darn well do that. So honor your commitments even when it's not convenient. Follow through. Communicate clearly. And Jeff talks about a great study that was done about attorneys. And with attorneys that are going to be testifying at a trial where there's hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, what is the best attorney to hire? The one with a Harvard and a Yale and a University of Chicago degree, or the Southern attorney? You know, that proverbial Southern attorney that tells stories. Which one should they hire? Who is the jury going to believe? Yeah, Matlock. That's a great one, Ron. For those of you who remember Matlock. Yeah, the Southern attorney, because he talks in a language that the people in the jury understand. They don't care about your credentials. They care about, can I understand you? Are you like me? Because I can trust somebody like me. I can't trust somebody who talks with fancy words. So communicate clearly. That builds trust. Don't use jargon. Why do we tell stories with the 21-point checklist? Yeah, stories, Nick. That's exactly right. You cannot buy trust at any price, but slowly over time, you can build it for free. Why do we start with the Survivor's Guide? Is anybody going to leave their current advisor with the Survivor's Guide? No. So, but we start with, and is it the most important or the least important tool that we have in the 21-point checklist? It's the least important. See, but we're going to start small and build. Because if I go right in and say, your advisor's screwing you, what's their knee-jerk reaction going to be? No, he's not, because they're going to protect themselves. So, but here's the thing. Because when they woke up in the morning, did they love their advisor? When they woke up in the morning, did they love their advisor? Yes. Or they would have left him a long time ago. They think he walks on water or she walks on water. So what we do with the Survivor's Guide is they think, oh, well, I think my advisor's doing a good job. Yeah, but you know what? This would be kind of something cool that he could give people. Then we go to the power of attorney. They're like, well, that's not really his job, but you know what? It kind of is. Then we go to the medical power of attorney. You know what? He's not doing what he should be doing. Now, these are things that he should be doing. So that the first non-financial things, they're not going to leave their advisor over that, but does it change their opinion of their advisor? They're not going to leave their advisor over the non-financial. At least the first 5 or 6 non-financials. But does it change their opinion of the guy? Yeah, they start to think, you know what, he could pick up his game. He should be doing some of these things. These are things that are good things for him to be doing. And then we get into what? Like titling and beneficiaries, where they start to think, you know what, these things are his job. Maybe the other things weren't his job. They were good things to do, but these things are his job. He's not doing them. And then by that time, we get to the financial, like, you know what, that guy's screwing us. So you have to start with the big thing, or you start off with a small thing? Small. You start slowly. Start slowly, a little bit at a time. Have the courage to say no and have the courage to face the truth. If somebody wants a 6%, if somebody gives you $400,000 and wants $40,000 a year, what do you have to tell them? If they have $400,000 and want $40,000 a year for the rest of their lives, what do you got to tell them? Can't do that. That's right. Are there advisors, though, that would take the money and then worry about it later? You bet. Everybody's saying, yes, there are. We don't want to be that person. If we can't do what we say we can do, don't say we can. Have the courage to say no. Have the courage to face the truth. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent. Consistency builds trust. So one of the things that we can be consistent about is our communication with our clients. Should we sporadically, when we have time spent on epidemic marketing, and then not do it for 6 months, or should we do it on time every single day? I don't care if it's every month or every quarter or every 6 months, but once you've set up a time to communicate with your clients, what do you need to do? Do it like clockwork. Be consistent. So you should be consistent in the things you do for them. You should be consistent in your viewpoints of what to do. What would a client think about an advisor who's all over the place? Every time they talk to him, he's got some different investment idea. Trustworthy or not trustworthy? Every time they talk to him, he's got a new investment idea. Guys, you should yeah, snake oil salesman, exactly. So you want to be consistent in how you represent what they should do. That's why every time I have an annual meeting, the annual meeting is the same. First thing I do is I cover all the non-financial things. Then I go through. Then I cover then I walk through their investments, and I remind them why we're doing what we're doing. That they agreed what the asset allocation should be. That why we're doing that asset allocation. I mean, just be consistent in how you communicate and what you communicate. Be an active listener, meaning pay attention. Do not multitask. Give them eye contact. Don't over-talk them. Listen to them. Ask open-ended questions so they can tell you what's on their mind. Follow directions that they give you. Follow the direction that they want to take the conversation. Visualize what is being said. This will help you pay attention. Visualize what is being said. Don't be thinking about what your next thing you're going to say. Listen to what they're saying. Active listening builds trust. Yeah, it makes them feel important. I agree. If you want to be trusted, be honest. We already talked about this. Be honest. Showing people authentic respect, kindness, love every day, meaning that you got to like the people that you're working with. You can't do this. You can't bring them flowers but have your fingers crossed behind your back. So, Jeff, have you heard advisors talk about how they hate marketing, how they hate doing seminars because all the people are there plate lickers and plate lickers and tire kickers? Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that. Yeah, definitely.
Is that from the guys that are killing it, or the guys that are struggling?
Not from the guys those are from the guys that are struggling.
So the guys that are doing well, what do they think about the people that come to see them at the seminars?
They like the people. I mean, if you don't like if you don't like someone and you don't respect them, or you think they're there just to take advantage of you, you can't hide that. They know that. You're not fooling anybody.
You're not. You're fooling yourself, but you sure in the heck aren't fooling them. So guys, all the people that we get in front of with marketing, they're all what? Every single person we get in front of with marketing, they're all what? Highly qualified, ready to do business, or are they tire kickers and plate lickers? They're all plate lickers and tire kickers. They all are. They're all shopping. I don't think any of them are there to move their money. But should I be happy that they're there to give me, at least listen to me? Yes. Because if I'm good, do we have things that they want? So yes, we do. If we don't, we better sure find them. So if we're the only thing between them and what they want, it's our job to help them discover what they want. So you got to love the people you're getting in front of. Truly, not just for, hey, I'm going to pretend like I like them so I can get their money. No. You really got to like them. And you can't like them after they give you the money. You have to like them when they're still tire kickers and plate lickers. Avoid self-promotion. What did I do with all my 5 designations when I started making $1 million? What did I do, or before I started making $1 million? What did I do with my 5 designations? Because when I was making $50,000 a year, I had my CFP and my certified estate planning. I had all of my credentials there. What did I do? I took them off. I'm not going to tell them they should trust me. I'm going to let them make that decision themselves. Because how much do boomers like self-promotion? They don't. In fact, it works against you. Oh, also, when we're doing any type of marketing, for example, a webinar or a seminar, how much time do we spend up front talking about ourselves? Talking about our credentials, how great we are, how long we've been in business, none. Yeah, about 30 seconds is all we do, 30 seconds. Don't sacrifice your values for the sake of gaining approval of others. Okay, this is a kind of a different side of the coin of don't promise things you can't do. Should we take on a client we don't like just for the money? A client that abuses you, doesn't show up at time, always wants to be rude to you. No, we don't take those clients on. Mistakes are always forgivable if one has the courage to admit them. If we make a mistake, how quickly should we call the client? Should we hope they don't see it? How quickly should we? As soon as possible. Pull the Band-Aid off right away. Admit, fall on the sword. And when you do that, because guys, if you wait till they find the mistake, guess what? If you wait till a client finds out you made a mistake, guess what? Yeah, you're done. You're screwed. If you find out you made a mistake, get a hold of them right away. Explain what the mistake was. Explain why it was made. Explain why it will never happen again. And explain what you're going to do about it. Mistakes are forgivable, but you have to admit them. Make sense? These things will make you more trustworthy. Now, let's talk about how you can become a millionaire, or not become a millionaire, but what makes a millionaire. An author who surveyed over 10,000 millionaires found the qualities that make them successful hinge on a distinct behavior. So let's talk about that. Millionaires tend to have 5 characteristics in common after studying 10,000 millionaires. They take personal responsibility, practice intentionality, and are goal-oriented and work hard to build wealth. Consistency in each of these areas, Hogan wrote, is what ties everything together. So he actually wrote a book about interviewing these 10,000 millionaires, how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth and how you can too. So what are the 5 characteristics? First, success is only found in personal responsibility. Guys, what one thing did I do that catapulted me from $50,000 a year to $1 million a year? And I actually did backtracked and looked at what, because I was making $967 in 1999. And I looked at what that would be worth today. That'd be by making $1.5 million, about $1,567,000 in today's dollars. So how did I go from making $50,000 a year to $1 million a year in 1999 money? What did I do? What was the one thing that I did? Nick says I took responsibility for my actions. How did I take responsibility for my actions? You're right, Nick. How did I do that, though? Not blaming others, I agree, but how did I know? What did I start to do where I realized I was the problem? What did I start to do? Yeah, Steve, I had to admit that I was seeing change, and I did that too. But what did I do? You're getting closer. Evaluate myself. How did I evaluate myself? Tape. That's right. I started to tape myself. I started to use motivational interviewing, right, Tom? But that wasn't what, I could use motivational interviewing all day long and not get any better. What I started to do was to tape myself. Because can I lie to myself if I tape myself? Can I lie to myself that I'm doing everything and it's the client's fault? It's not my fault, it's the interest rate's fault. It's not my fault, it's product fault. It's not my fault, it's the client's fault. Can I do that if I'm taping myself and listening to myself? No. And how often did I listen to a tape, guys? That first 3 years, how often did I listen to a tape? Every day I listened to a full meeting tape. So could I really fool myself if I was listening to a tape? A full meeting tape every single day? No, I couldn't. And when I started to do that, I started thinking, you know what? Can I change interest rates? No. Can I change products? No. Can I change clients? No. Can I change people from being tire kickers and plate lickers to come to my marketing? No. The only thing I can change is me, which is a scary thing, but it's also a liberating thing, because that's the only thing that I can change. Be intentional. Guard your time fiercely. Be generous with it, but be intentional about it. Be intentional. Know what you're doing and why you're doing it. If at the end of the day, you don't even know what you've done to better yourself, what is that day worth? Nothing. What is the one way you know you can get better every day? You can intentionally get better every day. What's the one way you can do it? What 5-2 myth? 15 minutes. 15 minutes a day. How many of you are spending that 15 minutes a day practicing on your skills? That'll give you a good gauge on whether you're being intentional or not. A goal, set a goal. What do I think about goals? I think goals are worthless. A goal without a plan is just a wish. So I'm more worried about what? The goal or the system or the plan to get there? The process, right? The process. That's what I'm worried about. Because if I have a process, see, I don't want to be adjusting my goal. I want to be adjusting my what? If I'm not getting what I want, do I want to adjust my goal down? No. I want to adjust my plan up. What part of this has to be changed to get where I want to go? Does that make sense? You got to have a plan, a process. Stay positive, work hard, make it happen. Which 3 of these phrases is the most important? Which of these 3 phases is the most important? What he says is it's this one. Because can you make it happen without hard work? And the amazing thing is, if you work hard, guess what will happen? You become more positive. So how many people with $1 million, that make $1 million a year or built from just a normal job up to over millions of dollars in assets, what did all those people do? Now, yeah, we have some people that inherited it. We're not talking about those people. The rest of those people did what? They worked hard to do that. They sacrificed. If you think about this, doctors, what's the average doctor or engineer, or what's the average really work week? If anybody making over 150 grand a year, what's the average work week? How many of those people are working 40 hours a week? Making over 150 grand a year, how many of those people are working 40 hours a week? None. In fact, there's only one group of people I know who can make $150,000 a year and not work 40 hours a week. Who's that? Yeah, us. We have an unbelievable industry that we work in. We can make $150,000 a year and work half time. It's not that hard. But if you want to get to increase your income, $500,000, $750,000, $1 million a year, $1.5 million, $2 million a year, you got to work hard. You don't even have to work more than 40 hours a week to make that kind of income in our business. Consistency, building wealth takes consistency. So look at how important is consistency. We just talked about consistency about when it pertains to what? We just talked about consistency as it pertains to what? Trust. Getting people's trust, we have to be consistent. Being successful, we have to be consistent. So what does that tell you about the worry about consistency? So what is the best way to be consistent? What is the best way to be consistent with your health? What is the best way to be consistent with it? For example, for my health, I hate vegetables. I don't like fruit. But I get 8 servings a day. Guess how I do that? Guess how I get my 8 servings a day of fruit and vegetables? No, because it's not with supplements. Because what did I tell you about supplements? I mean, not to get into a health thing here. What's more important, taking supplements or eating the actual foods? The food. So how do I do it? Well, at 10:30, I have in my schedule to eat some fruit and a vegetable. At noon, same thing. Then I have a smoothie right before dinner, and then I have a vegetable with dinner. So I could tell, if you ask me when you eat what, I can tell you what I'm doing at what time of the day. How do I stay consistent with my workouts? Doing them whenever I feel. Schedule it. That's right, Kevin. Schedule it. So if you want to be consistent with your success, guess what you need to do? Schedule it. Your 15 minutes drill should be done when? Whenever you have time? Whenever the day gives you enough time? No, it should be done what? Like clockwork. Looking at a script to make sure you still are locking in that script. You should do it when you feel like it, when you feel you're getting soft, or you should do what? Do pro football players only schedule tackling practice when they feel like they're getting rusty? Do baseball players only take batting practice when they feel they're getting rusty? What do? It's scheduled every single day. So guys, you should have the 15-minute drill in your calendar. You should have an hour set aside every day to work on whatever one of the scripts you want to work on, but you're constantly working on the scripts. You should have things in your, an hour set aside to write handwritten notes to your clients and prospects. You should schedule your success be consistent with it, like clockwork. I mean, if you ask me what I'm doing any particular day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are all the way up to noon on Saturday. So from Monday till noon on Saturday, you ask me what I'm doing at any particular time of the day, guess what I would be able to tell you? Exactly what I'm doing. You know why? Does that say that I'm disciplined, or does that say I'm not very disciplined? I'm not disciplined at all. If I had my druthers, I would do nothing but coast through the day. The reason I do it is because I'm not disciplined. That's why I put it in the calendar. Building wealth takes consistency. And Consistency is done by scheduling it. Make sense? Then find what works, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. It's really that simple. So those are some hints on how you can build trust very rapidly, and how you can set yourself up for either $1 million income or millions of dollars of assets by incorporating some of those things. If you do not take and incorporate any of these things today, what's it worth? What was your half an hour spent today? So I'm ending early, hoping that you'll go back and say, I might not be doing all these things, but I'm going to do one of these things. If you just did that, would that be a good thing? I would hope that you do all 5 of these things, but if you only do one of them, is that still what? It's a start. That's right. It's a start. Make sense? So you guys, I hope you don't mind me constantly going back, but I go back personally and constantly remind me of these things, because otherwise I get lazy and I backslide. So I think it's important to constantly be bringing these things up on a regular basis to think about how we can become better people for our families, for ourselves, and for our businesses. So I appreciate all you guys. You guys have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Oh, and be on next Monday, because Missy's going to be talking about marketing next Monday. So make sure you're there. And you guys have a great week. Thanks, everybody.